What's up, guys? Ghetto Kimber here. I finally figured out the problem between black men and black women and why there seems to be problems with relationships. A lot of black men think black women are the problem, or black women have attitudes, or a lot of women think that black men are the problem because they're lazy or for whatever the reason may be. For starters, as black people, whenever we have a problem, we assume that we're having a problem because we're black. But that's fallacious in logic. What that does is you take a small sample and construe it as the majority. It's the equivalency of buying a bag of apples. If you get three bad apples out of a bag, you assume that, well, every bag has at least three bad apples in it, which is fallacious in logic. A lot of times when we deal with problems, whenever we try to say that we're having this problem and isolate ourselves in a group, it's very fallacious logic. And the reason that it's fallacious, you are taking a condition of being while you have the problem. You are assuming that the condition is actually the problem, or you are assuming that the condition is contributing to the problem. Is it conceivable that you would have a problem in a relationship regardless if that person was black or not? It's not comparable to simply compare one small minority in the group when that small minority is part of a bigger vox populi. And a lot of times we confuse a relationship between cause and effect. And so instead of looking at this situation as, okay, it has to be black people because I got this result, what you're identifying as a temporary condition, and that condition may or may not cause the end result, which is a bad relationship. Is it possible that you would have gotten that same result regardless if that person was black or not? You have things to consider are compare the person's educational background, compare their jobs, their working patterns. It's not just enough to say the relationship failed between black people. There are certain dynamics that you have to compare that are comparable. You have to compare were there children involved or things like that. But let's divulge further into the subject matter. When you deal with relationships, you need to have some facts. Just because you saw something on TV, or you may have heard one of your friends or observed your friends, or you yourself may have had a bad relationship with people of color, and you decide and say, well, you know what, since I've had these bad relationships, I'm going to start doing interracial dating and dating outside my race, which people are free to date whoever they want, but that's fallacious in thought. What that is the grass is greener on the other side, logical fallacy. It assumes if you try something different, you will get a different result. For example, an example of this fallacious line of logic is many times you'll get government agencies and government developers and planners. They'll take a whole area that's crime infested. They'll label the area condemned, destroy all the properties, separate everybody that lives in the communities, and send them out to suburbs or better areas. And they assume that since they're moving everybody out of this area, that the move will somehow affect the crime. Because the thought is, well, dilapidated property causes crime. Or dilapidated property causes people to commit crime. Or do we have the relationship between cause and effect reversed? Could it be that crime actually causes property to be dilapidated, and that the dilapidated property is an end effect of crime or some other reason? That's what we have. It's called post hoc. The post hoc fallacy, it assumes since event B happened after event A must have caused event B. But the reason that's fallacious, it totally eliminates the fact that the problem may have happened anyway, or it happened because of another contributory factor. You would think that in this day and age, with the information that we have available, that people will have better critical thinking skills and deductive reasoning skills as it relates to how we have problems. When we look at problems, you have to figure out, you have to bifurcate it to figure out, is the problem the result of an intervening clause or a superseding clause, or if it's a remote cause or a direct cause? Which means every time you have a problem, you may have other things that may be factors, but those factors may be a result of something else. And those factors may lead to another result, which may not have anything to do with your original problem. So, the first thing you have to look at why relationships fail, stop looking at it as the undistributed middle fallacy. That's where you assume that one group is going to think a certain way because they have certain similarities, right? Let's look at marriage as a whole in the United States. If you look at the link right here, according to the United States Census Bureau, 50% of your marriages are failing. Your first marriage ends with a 50% failure rate. And that has nothing to do with people's ethnicities. If you got 50% of your first marriages failing, and if you check the link here, you will see that 60% of your second marriages are failing. That has nothing to do with ethnicity. Now, there's a plethora of reasons why marriage fails. If I sat back here and I blame some things on women, or if I blame some things on men, that would also be fallacious. It would be fallacious in the line of logic because every tub must sit on its own bottom. And there are reasons why everybody's marriage fail. And so, excuse me, we got some people that say, well, since the relationships didn't work because they were black, I'm going to date outside of my race. So you get an interracial marriage, right? And the statistics show that interracial marriages have the highest rate of failure than any other type of relationship. So that goes to show you, just because you date somebody of another ethnicity, it won't solve the problem. Could it be the problem with your relationships and why they're failing? Maybe it has nothing to do with ethnicity, or maybe it may deal with the relationship you're having itself. Why are your relationships failing? What are you doing in your relationships? You know, you have to make comparison. You need to compare, do you have children? You need to compare if that person makes more money than you. You have to compare, are you going to be a housewife? You need to compare, do you want a housewife or do you want somebody to pay half the bills? The problem is too intricate to try to decide who's to blame because every situation is different. There's a plethora of reasons. And so, since we now know that the divorce rate is high in the United States, period, it's very fallacious to assume that this problem is going to be mutually exclusive to one group. Marriages as a whole are failing for a plethora of reasons. When you make comments like, well, black men need to get themselves together, that doesn't really say nothing. What it does is, it's almost a form of prejudicial language, because when you say something and you don't define it, you basically leave it to the listener to basically fill in the blank for what they think it means. And what they'll assume in their mind that it means anything. So now you got a lot of people agreeing with the statement you made without actually elucidating on it or providing any clarity as to what the word means. So in essence, black people, whenever we have a problem, some problems we're having is not because we're black. Being black just happened to be part of a condition of a problem. The condition of a problem is not the problem itself. And be careful not to confuse the relationship between cause and effect. Now, how silly would it be if I was to say, having cancer causes you to start smoking? See how ridiculous that is? But we do know smoking causes cancer, and it's not the other way around. So there's no exclusiveness when it comes to relation problems. It's the way the American society is as a whole, and for some reason marriages are failing. So please get it out of your mind, black people, that the reason you're having relationship problems is because this other person is black. Being black just happened to be a condition while you're having the problem. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully I shared some light. In the more section of this video, you'll see some references where you can look at the information yourself. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.